right, welcome back to
Boring Land.
Yes, I almost said it, but I just want to make sure the brainwashing has continued. I had to put this guy in front of a picture and a few screens that constantly just flashed and said Boring Land for about 8 hours yesterday.
The indoctrination continues.
He doesn't even know he said Boring Land. Nick here.
Gabe.
And we are, believe it or not, we're going to be checking out something that's not of the Indian cinema. And we're going to go still across the pond a little bit to English cinema, we'll say. And we're looking at
The King. Now, full disclaimer. You know, when I first saw The King, the only reason I wanted to watch this movie was because Robert Pattinson was in it. We started this channel really talking about our two favorite things, comic book movies and Star Wars. And
I thought you were going to say comic movies and comic movies.
Kind of one of the same thing. But, you know, Nick's a huge Superman fan. Batman is my favorite comic book character of all time. The Joker's my favorite comic book villain of all time. And when they announced that Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman, I'm like, the guy from Twilight? What do you care? He had to talk me off the ledge. It was bad.
I was super excited. Now, I'm not going to claim I've seen all of his indie performances, but this man has built himself a reputation since Twilight. Those films were over. And to his credit, I did read an interview on him because I agree. I thought his acting was horrible in Twilight.
Right.
He said he acted that way intentionally.
Right.
Intentionally because he felt that Edward was a brooding guy.
Right.
And so he did that on purpose, which I thought, okay, you know, it sounds pretty good.
Right.
But I have watched several clips from different movies he's in. There's one where it's like the Old West type of situation. And he's just this kind of low-life guy who's forced his woman to marry to him. And I've watched several clips from that and other movies. This guy's got some serious acting chops. Boy Reviews! The King, it's on Netflix, so it's very convenient. And even for those younger audiences, it's rated R, but it's really PG-13 in my opinion. There's a few foul language words.
Right.
It's you know, it's not that bad, but again, we digress. Before we get into that, just so you know, Born Reviews, we have our own Patreon page. Please check that out, and if you are so willing, go ahead and give us some support. We really appreciate that. Also, you notice I'm not wearing the hat today. Okay, did a review earlier, a few days back, on Panapat, and it was a trailer reaction. And someone gave me a comment like, hey, not so bad. You actually have hair. It's looking pretty good. And I think about Michael Scott when I was reading that, where there's a great line he gives from The Office where he says, do I have to be loved? Absolutely not. Do I need to be loved? Yes.
That's a classic.
I love that line.
That's a classic.
And so, do I have to be loved? No, but give me the love and I will adhere.
You know what? You guys don't want to see the hat off because it's gone, man. I'm bald. I'm pretty much bald already.
There's some guys that are really bald out there that are ready to kill you. Anyways, so The King. The King stars a whole bunch of people. All right, so it's directed by an Australian director named David Mashad. It's written by him, but also co-written by Joel Edgerton, who is in the movie. He plays kind of a minor character, but honestly, just about everyone in this movie is a minor character, in my opinion. Not too many of them get a lot of screen time, but there's a lot of serious actors in this. You have Sean Harris, most recently from the last two Mission Impossible movies. You got Timothy Chalamet, who is he's like 22 or 23, but he is just blowing up right now. He's already been nominated for an Oscar or two. He is fantastic in everything he does. He'll be basically the next Leonardo DiCaprio if he's not already getting there. You also have Robert Pattinson, you mentioned. You have Joel Edgerton, like I mentioned. And there's so many others that I can't think of right now. I mean, this movie's got Thomasin McKenzie. She's a newer young actress. She's in Jojo Rabbit, which we haven't seen yet. Right. But she's also in Leave No Trace, which I saw last year. Nice, fine actress. You have a lot of people in here. And I almost mentioned Ben Mendelsohn's also in
Ben Mendelsohn.
Henry IV.
Ben Mendelsohn. And he was one of my favorite characters in this movie. You know, I tell you what, Netflix is stepping it up. I remember
have to with Disney Plus
coming out. I remember the very first huge Netflix movie I saw that had like really serious actors, attached to it was probably Bright, which I still loved. And I was like,
Joel Edgerton.
They got Will Smith to do this? Are you kidding me? Like, you gotta have bank. That's $20 million guaranteed. You know what I mean? He got the bag to make that movie.
Talk to the producers of Gemini Man. Anyways, But yeah, I mean, Netflix, they have done
They're
really good
stepping it up.
movies recently. And even the ones that aren't big movies, like Cloverfield Paradox, that was not a very good movie, but it was still a lot of fun to see
Engaging,
a Cloverfield
entertaining.
sequel. Super Bowl. Oh, just so you know, you see, hear the sirens out there. That's okay. Just so you know, there's a new movie released right now. Go check it out. The Super Bowl. That was really cool. But this movie, just so you know, I had to look it up. It's not really based on a true story. It's based on a bunch of plays written by William Shakespeare, who based those plays on what happened in history with this royal family. But one guy said it best on the internet. I'm not sure where he was from. He said it's based on William Shakespeare's opinion of history. You can take that with a grain of salt. But it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't really tell a fantastic story. Right? It tells a great character piece on Henry V, who Timothée Chalamet plays. He's the main guy. But as I'm watching this movie, the first half, I'm not really super engaged. I'm not sure how you felt about it. It jumps around. There was times when I'm not going to lie. I had to pause it and look up the plot description on Wikipedia or different places to make sure I was following it, because it kind of just touches different places. I'm telling you right now. Hollywood, every year, you have movies that have beheadings in some way. Every year, Hollywood gets better and better to where I'm sitting here watching this movie and I'm like, wow, that was a real person that agreed to do that.
Yeah,
that looked flawless. Did that not?
That one scene was probably the first time I cringed at any scene this year. I was like, oh wow, that was people were talking about the violence in Joker. This scene was like,
and there wasn't a lot of scenes like that, but I mean it was flawless. Special effects people did a fantastic job, or maybe I'm just such a novice at understanding visual effects. But anyways, all right, so like you said, this is not really a story piece. This is a character piece. Well, my favorite character, I mean, is easy, is Timothée Chalamet's character of Henry V. He does a fantastic job, because you look at him, he's a small guy. He's a skinny guy. He's not really an intimidating guy. But I kind of like that, because not everyone's going to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're not all going to be beefed and jacked. But he had the presence. And I think the hardest thing for an actor is to be focused and to have that presence the whole time. And he had that. He did a fantastic job. What are some other actors that really stood out to you?
You know, to me, the second best actor in this entire movie, and it was a crime how little.
Do you agree that Timothy was the first one?
Timothy was the first. And I was shocked that I went in looking for Robert Pattinson's performance, and we got it, because he was amazing. But Timothy he not only did he hold his own, he actually commanded the screen, and it didn't matter who he was. He was at times in the same scene with Ben Mendelsohn, who was also awesome. And I mean, he absolutely put on a clinic. So yes, hands down, this kid is amazing. You know, at first I'm like, the 23-year-old teenage heartthrob, really? He's getting all this buzz? Like you said, he's been nominated already for Oscars. I can see why.
Throwing it down.
He's not just a pretty baby. This guy can absolutely
And I do
act.
prefer his first haircut he had.
Yes. But to me, Robert Pattinson, you were right. Thank you for talking me off the ledge, okay? This gives me hope now for the Batman, because, wow, he can act. Forget about the French accent, okay? Just his demeanor. And I've never seen this guy, who I've only known in the Love Story, and I'm a brooding vampire, and this guy was menacing. There was this one scene, and we don't want to go into spoilers, but where there's some kids involved. And he's still ruthless. He is ruthless. Oh man. I mean, have you ever seen a guy that's known for playing these cute, puffy teenage, Twilight teen Edward?
I already got someone for you.
To get such a dark role like that. Who?
And he did better than Pattinson here. A guy named Heath Ledger.
Oh, you're right, because Heath Ledger was always in the rom-coms.
10 Things I Hate About You.
10 Things You Hate About You.
And he was great in that. It's one of my wife's favorite movies.
Right.
I'm telling you. And that's why it was deja vu. When I saw on my computer years ago that Heath Ledger was rumored, as the Joker. First it was Paul Bettany, the guy who plays Vision in the Avengers movies. I said, okay, I can see that kind of. But then it said Heath Ledger, and I said, there's no way. They've messed up. And here you have another Batman announced with Robert Pattinson. I'm not worried at all.
No, you're right. He was amazing.
He does a great job. You should be warned, and this is something that we talked about. He's not in the movie a lot. So if you're watching the movie for him, you're not going to get him until 2/3 in.
We'll talk about that later when I give my grade, because I was upset because they marketed it like it was basically he's a third name that shows up on the credits. You would figure he was going to be in a large portion of the movie. He's going to be the main antagonist, and he wasn't. So that's upsetting. But sorry, spoiler alert.
Based on this performance, and this guy, I'm telling you, this guy's portfolio is very vast. He can do so many different things. He has a wide range. But did you think at all, talking about that kids scene, did you think at all that he's more likable to play a good villain in a Batman film than Batman himself?
Well, that's why.
That's what I kept thinking. Like, this guy would be I'm not going to say Joker. That's too easy. But he'd be a great villain.
Well, that's why. And a lot of people had a problem with Ben Affleck's performance of Batman. If you're a true Batman fan, you understand the darkness. Batman is a dark character. He's a character that's
Dark Knight.
He's a character that's broken, and he won't kill. That's the line he doesn't pass, at least in most iterations. But he's dark, man. And this is now seeing this, I can see. Oh wow, he can totally play this part.
If he plays the edge, yeah, that'd be great.
I can't wait. I can't wait. But
I wouldn't mind seeing him as a Robin character, but Red Hood or something like that. But that's for a different conversation. Right. So, in the film, you also have Joel Edgerton. Joel Edgerton steals the show, right?
He was amazing.
Again, another small character. Like I mentioned, he co-wrote the film, so he has a little more stake into it. He put on some pounds. Now, he's still in better shape than I am, but he's usually really good shape. He was in Warrior and so many other movies. This guy, I mean, he was great in The Great Gatsby. He's a great actor. He did a great job. And I loved his character, too. His character, for me, was just so realistic. He was just like a typical guy who just... He's got some talent, but he cares more about just relaxing. Right. I mean, he's all about getting himself a foot massage. But
my favorite line
in
the whole movie was delivered by Joel Edgerton. And there's this one point where, King Henry has put him into his council, and he's like, am I counseling myself? Like, do you have nothing to say? You don't want to add anything to this conversation? And he says, I only speak when there's something that needs to be said. Like, he delivered it so...
Not just that, but when King Henry V, he tells him to do something that, is, even for him, is like, that's crossing the line. He tells him to do two things. He said, the first thing I'll do. The second thing, I'm not doing that. You can do that yourself. And the king's like, how dare you say no to me? And he's like, yeah, that's not you.
Yeah. No.
Let's be real right now.
I forgot. Maybe that's my favorite.
Let's be real.
No, I remember the exact line.
No, that's not you.
He was like, do the first thing and then the second thing. And he was like, the first thing I'll do, the second thing I won't do that because that's not in, you don't have that in you. And then he said, how dare you talk back to me? I'll just remember you right here. He goes, you don't got that in you either. Like,
I'm not worried about
it. To the king.
And the third thing where they're talking, no spoilers, but the third thing when they're talking about the end,
right? And
he's like, how confident are you in this plan? And I mean, I won't say what he says, but he says, there's no way it doesn't work out.
Right.
I'm very confident.
Right.
And he was a great character. Again, Robert Pattinson did a great job. For some reason, when I saw Robert Pattinson's performance, maybe it was the long hair, maybe it was the accent, I was thinking Adrian Brody from The Village. I love The Village.
Right.
I was thinking about a performance like that because Adrian Brody's not in it too much, and he plays kind of a different character. Pattinson was great. Sean Harris, who has that creepy voice from the Mission Impossible movies, he's in this guy. He plays, I'm not going to say any adjectives, I don't want to give anything away. He does a phenomenal job. This guy is a really, really good actor. He seemed like an older guy, so I wonder where's he been his whole career. But this guy, once again, gave a great performance.
It's just, like I said, this movie is so confusing to me because there's so many great acting performances, but as far as the story, we got none.
But didn't you feel somewhat justified at the end? I feel like the end really, really raised up my grade at least.
Yes, it did bring it back together.
But when I'm watching the whole movie, I'm like, okay, when's it going to pick up? When? And I don't need action, but when's the story going to, further on?
Right.
I will say, when Pattinson shows up, that last third of the movie is fantastic.
Right. And what I will say about this movie, what I loved, is because you were talking about action. I love how the director chose to portray the action of medieval times, and I say that because most of the time when you watch these movies, period pieces, these guys are doing backflips and they're swinging these huge swords that when you watch like the History Channel, these swords alone weigh like 20-30 pounds, you know what I mean? And they're so, it's almost like it's choreographed. It looks too clean. Where here, it was grimy. It was gritty. The battle scenes, you could see, I love the breathing. They added the one little touch that when people are fighting in those knights outfit, its exhaustion sets in within the first 10 seconds because you can hear them breathing so heavy because they're looking around the set and there's the as they're battling, they're exhausted, not from fighting, but from lugging around that heavy armor. So I think that was such a brilliant touch to add to it, and it gave it such a level of element of realism to it. And I think this is the most realistic depiction I've ever seen of the medieval knights fighting and the medieval, in this heavy armor. It's not going to be as choreographed as like King Arthur and what we always see where they're, ching, 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 and a flip and a bet. No, that's not going to happen.
See, those movies are okay to have that because that's who they are, right?
Right.
And they're consistent. That's fine. Over the top is fine if that's who they're saying they are. But I agree with you. You're completely correct. It was very realistic. There's a fight scene with Timothy Chalamet where he's one-on-one with someone at one point. And it was not like a Lethal Weapon scene where it just goes on forever. And like you're saying, they're bashing all this kind of stuff. It was a very realistic fight with two guys who, I'm not going to say they weren't skilled, but they were typical guys who had survived in war. But, I mean, it was not clean shots. I mean, it was very realistic. The last scene, I won't get into it, but brilliant with Pattinson. I love that whole element. That was very, very fitting for who his character was, what he was trying to be, and who he really was. I really, really, really loved it, and I'm ready for a grade in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to we want to, because it just came out on Netflix, so we don't want to, and Nick's had to put reins on me because I'm Mr. Spoiler, so we don't want to spoil it. But all I'll say is that this is shot so well. Some of the shots are so amazing that it really lends to more of an artistic piece. And I don't think a Netflix movie has ever been nominated for, I know that Oscar season is right around the corner.
Amazon movies have, I think Netflix has,
okay,
not too often.
But man, some of the shots in this scene, and just again the way they depicted the war, and the battles, I really appreciated that, and I would love to see it be at least nominated. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm ready for a grade. I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a tough one for me to grade. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I love the acting. Didn't love the story. Not till the end. And I liked how the action was realistic. I did not like how it was hard for me to follow. Maybe I'm just not that smart, but I've watched a lot of movies. They shouldn't be so hard to follow. So I feel comfortable giving this movie a B-, and that's just me being honest. It would have been a C, but the ending was fantastic. It really brought it together. But I do respect the writing of Joel Edgerton and the director. I do respect their direction. The movie itself was made well, but for me, I'm a huge plot guy. I really am. I just can't ignore that.
Now, I'm gonna come at this from the standpoint of what I went in there to see. I went in there to see Robert Pattinson. If you watch the Netflix, you know how they give you the small commercial? About 50% of all the shots had him in there and their interaction. If he was in 20 minutes of the movie, that's a lot. Let's be real. They lied in their marketing. I'm so disappointed with what they did. They had so many great acting performances, and they butchered it. This screenplay was atrocious. Whoever wrote it, stop it. Okay, they tried to tell 18 different storylines in one movie. Oh, I don't understand it. And for that reason, I gotta give this a C+. And it's only because of how good Robert Pattinson was and Timothy Chalamet. Their performances were A. Okay, and I didn't think that Timothy Chalamet was gonna be able to outperform Robert Pattinson and Ben Mendelsohn. Forget about it, man. He stole the show. He is an amazing actor.
He did have more screen time, though.
His performance was an A+. But the story, the actual movie, I cannot give it anything above a C. I'm sorry. And not Hollywood, this is Netflix. Netflix, I get it. They're not, big budget. But if you can afford to spring to pay for $20 million is what Will Smith got to do Bright. They could have, ponied up a little bit more cash, get a better screenwriter. No? You don't think so? Come on, Netflix, you got the money.
Again, when I said the screenplay was good, I really like the dialogue. I understand what you're saying, that the screenplay was very weak in helping us understand. So if you liked it or didn't like it, please let us know in the comment section below. Please let us know what other Netflix videos or movies you want us to review. newer ones. Let us know if there's newer ones on there we haven't realized yet, because like we said, we can't think of too many huge Netflix movies. And if you like this video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and check out some other videos. We do a lot of Indian cinema, and if you're not used to Indian cinema like we weren't a few months ago, you gotta check out some of our videos, because I'm watching almost a movie a night. I'm loving these movies. You've got to check them out.
Some really good acting performances, some really good actors, and you'll see just a difference. But yeah, definitely check them out. I will say one thing though, this movie has put a smile on my face because I know Batman is safe now. So thank you for that, Robert Pattinson. Now he is Pattinson.
Batman? I don't know. But until next time.
You don't got that in you. That was my favorite line.